What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Another episode of Uncovered. This time it's Jags Uncovered, Titans Uncovered. Head-to-head match brought to you by the Undroppables Network. Let's go ahead and get this one underway.
Doing the cut.
All right, well, intro videos, check. Saying hello to friends. Hello, friends. How are you?
Hey, guys. Hi.
Good.
Hi,
How we
friends.
doing today?
All right, check. Next up, talking football stuff. All right, cool. Anyways, this is going to be a great time. We got our Jags Titans crossover. Thankfully, division matchup round 2. We didn't get together round 1, so we got it this time.
Yeah.
Chev,
Yeah.
you got anything to say for the people as the Titans man to kick us off?
I would like to wish both of you guys, team, the best of luck this weekend. Like, I can't tell you how much I want you guys just to thrive and prosper. Probably play the best game of the season. Honestly, if Brian Thomas Jr. breaks Flipper Anderson's all-time receiving yardage record this week, I would be honored that it happened against the Titans. I can't wait. Mac Jones, 400-yard passing, 400 yards passing.
Oh God!
Just fantastic, dude. I can't wait. I'm so excited. There's just nothing but greatness on the horizon coming this Sunday, bud.
So I forgot to mention this up top real quick. Josh and I have joked on our show after our intros about like, man, doesn't that just look like so much fun? Like just fun football stuff was happening in those clips, and I miss that.
I miss having a good football team to cheer for. It's super cool. But look, hey, you got Brian Thomas though.
That's right.
I mean, we do.
That it's literally
we had Brian Thomas once, and then we traded him to Philadelphia. It was awesome.
It was great, man. Hey, at least got Treylon Burks. Shout out to Biggs.
Man,
don't forget Caleb Farley. I think he was another one with one of those picks.
Yep, sure was. Yep, Carolina Panthers legend. Carolina Panthers legend Caleb Farley. Yep, it was the first round pick. Yep.
Whew, all right. Let's do some week 16 review real quick. How'd it go for the Titans there?
Well, not great, Bob. Okay. We gave up like 270 yards rushing to the Colts. It was probably more than that, to be honest. I'm just counting off the top of my head the rushing yards that I saw with my own two eyes from Jonathan Taylor, which is 218, and then 45 that I stopped counting with Anthony Richardson. I didn't count past that. Just that alone, that's 263 rushing yards. For those who may not know ball, okay, that's not good. It's not good at all. Okay? So that's where we started, and it ended. We lost by 8, so that's single digits.
Progress,
maybe.
So I just like from a outsider's perspective, I was like, oh man, Colts are really taking it to them. And then like I'm watching Red Zone, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait, what? Hold on, what's going on here? This is a game again. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how they pulled that off.
So garbage time, the most garbage of garbage times. And I'm pretty sure the Colts were just playing like prevent, hey, don't let them score. And then they got too close to the end zone. And it was like, it's fine. It's fine. There's not enough time left for them to come back. And then they're like, it ended up almost being enough time for them to come back. But Anthony Richardson running the ball. You know what? Honestly, the thing that would have pissed me off the most, is if they found a way to weasel back into that game, get it to overtime, and win somehow, and ruin my Cam Ward 2025 bags.
No.
Like that is what Will Levis did one thing before he faded into the dark night, and that was he beat the Texans. And we didn't need that. Nobody needed that. Nobody wanted that.
We needed that.
Yeah, see, y'all needed that. I'm not in the business of trying to help out the Jags. Okay? If we can get Travis Hunter, I want Travis Hunter. Boy, if I can get Cam Ward, I want Cam Ward. I want all the things.
I want them all, yeah.
But that's not going to happen this year. So I got to cope by planning on getting some elite talent that we'll probably trade for peanuts, and just go about it that way.
So for the Jags on that week 16 here, I was with Biggs last week, and we kind of had the same discussion. They're like, I hope you win. He's like, I hope you win. And it was like, we call it the pillow fight. And that one went down about exactly how Biggs and I said. It was not going to be pretty. We both predicted the other team would win. And we said Brock Bowers was going to do work. And I said Brian Thomas is going to do work. And that's about all that happened.
Yep.
Raiders pulled it out.
Yeah. That is. I text Biggs and I was like, what a gritty victory. Just a real workman-like performance to just ruin your draft stock. Thrilled for you, bud. Thrilled about it.
Right. Yeah. You have one job. I have a feeling Jags are going to win one of the next two. They're going to fuck around and win at least one.
Who do y'all play in week 18?
The Colts.
Oh, wow.
We're going to mess around and win that one.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, listen, for as well as they have pulled whatever they got going on together, like they go from being like, I'm a fringe playoff team to like, hey, I'm a dumpster too. Like, and they could just show up at any moment being whichever one, and you never know which one you're going to get until they kick the ball off.
Yeah, totally fair. The Jags are kind of the same way. It's super bipolar team here.
Well, at least you have a quality backup, though. Like Mac Jones. I'm a Mac Jones apologist. I hate that for myself. And he's figured out how to get the ball to Brian Thomas, which is the most important part of all this. Because I thought for sure at first his fantasy stock was going in the just in the garbage when Trevor Lawrence got knocked out by that totally legal hit by Azeez Al-Shaair.
Yeah, it was Azeez.
I mean, it was, I thought it was super clean. Did you guys not? You don't agree with that?
Yeah, it was textbook. That's how they teach it down there. That's how they teach it down there in Houston. As the coach.
Love that.
Coming into this one though, I think same thing, man. Like, there's just another pillow fight. There's not a ton to say about this one. Give us your big storylines from the Titans perspective.
Honestly, just if I can get good fantasy performances from Chig Okonkwo and Tajay Spears, which means like we're actually using them in the offense, like a meaningful part of the offense, like good teams, which I know not a good team, so you can't really expect good things. But like I just use them. Like Chig's got like a 95th percentile spark score, and yet last week was the first week in 3 years he's ever been targeted. Well, the week before last, and then last week he got 11 targets. Like, this is the first time you targeted him double digits in a game. And then when we played y'all first time, he was wide open in the end zone, but Will Levis, like, I don't know, he got mayonnaise on his hands or something. He's just thinking about, like, making a sandwich or something. He just completely missed him. So if I can get to see what I've got in Tajay Spears, which we know what we have in him, and Chig Okonkwo, and then competent play from the right side of the offensive line, I would be thrilled. And when I say competent, I mean just like not falling down and letting Mason Rudolph get, some prison love from a defensive tackle.
Well, I mean, Jags can make him do some things, man. They've been making everybody look good. Making everybody look good. Look, I just watched. in person, I just watched Aaron Rodgers eviscerate this team. Anything is possible.
Oh, that was yeah. I bet
Jags defense gonna have Mason Rudolph feeling like he's at Oklahoma State again.
Yeah, Cowboy legend Mason Rudolph.
Oh man, I mean, on our end, it's literally just Brian Thomas at this point. Like, Josh, defensively, what do you got? I mean, you're still watching for Trayvon, you're watching for Josh Allen, but really, what are you watching for, man?
Yeah, I mean, I watched Trayvon. We're on double-digit sack watch now, just to shut up the nerds, because we're still having this conversation about him versus Aiden Hutchinson 3 years in. And then, yeah, it's all about Brian Thomas, man. Just feed him all the time. I don't care. Force feed him. That's all you need.
Chev, I know that we've talked on like fantasy platforms about him, but like, what's your take on Brian Thomas from a division rival perspective? Like, Josh and I talk about him every week. The big thing for us is how, like, we both had our questions with him, and neither of us were like super sold. We changed very quickly because it was so obvious how he stacked performances week after week. He just won in new ways. Like, dude, it was just so tangible on the field. But like, what's it like on the other side?
I mean, so he was my wide receiver 4 coming into the draft. It was really close between him and Adonai. So I was pretty high on him. I thought that I said on the show, on my show with my co-host, I was like, man, honestly, you're taking a bigger, stronger, faster guy and giving him Calvin Ridley's targets. Like, that role should be productive. And then, it became pretty evident pretty quickly that this is probably what Josh Gordon would have been like if he didn't have the drug problems. Like, that's what he is. Like, that's exactly what he is. He's just like Nico Collins. He's just like Josh Gordon. It's like super cool. Like, we had a guy like that, and we fucking traded him for peanuts, and then everybody else gets a guy like that, and it's just like, yeah, it's great. But I mean, I'll buy tickets when y'all play in Nashville next year, so I can like watch him eviscerate my corners. Like, we got Jarvis Brownlee. He's a really cool rookie, but he's going to get mauled. Brian Thomas Jr. is elite in every single way that you could possibly imagine, and like, he's going to be, before long, he'll be a universally recognized as a top 10 receiver, if not top 5, going into 2025.
Yeah, one thing we've talked about too a lot about this is taking that next step, getting a whole offseason with Trevor. And that is exciting.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Like, this is what they tried to do with Calvin Ridley, and then it didn't work out as well as people wanted it to. And then we decided to give him $100 million. Great job, guys.
Yeah, thank you for that one.
Yeah. And then, like, the leap that Josh Allen made, not to say that Trevor Lawrence is Josh Allen, but the leap that Josh Allen made is directly tied to, as a passer, when he got Stephon Diggs. Like, the leap that Jalen Hurts made from a fantasy perspective is directly tied to getting A.J. Brown. So adding an elite wide receiver to a young quarterback, which Trevor Lawrence is still young, no matter how you slice it, even though he's got a playoff win, he's won the division, like, he's still a really young quarterback. And if you give him elite assets, it's only going to raise his profile.
Yeah, I mean, totally fair. We totally thought we had that with Ridley, but you're right, it just didn't work out. And Trevor's the type of dude that all the film is all there. And you started to see some of that click early on with the two of them. Like, it was glimpses, but I mean, that's kind of the nature of the beast with a rookie, especially early on in the season. But yeah, that's going to be a really exciting pairing.
No, it's phenomenal. Yeah. I'm thrilled that we have to play you guys twice a year.
We're not used to having that. Like, we're used to drafting that guy and him turning into the fucking TCU guy a couple years ago. I can't remember his name.
Oh, Jalen Rager.
Johnston.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I was thinking Rager, but Johnson
Oh, yeah,
is there
Rager.
too.
Yeah.
But like we've seen tons of these 4-3 like big dudes who just they don't pan out, and I'm like, well, we're the fucking Jaguars. This guy like this. I'm just preparing myself, and
Well, it was different with him though, because you saw like the way that he won. I was okay. I had a few questions because it was like you weren't seeing like the flashy plays. Like I'm a notorious highlight watcher on Twitter during training camp, and you weren't hearing a lot at first. It was like, oh well, Brian Thomas Jr. he was solid today. You follow 32 beat writers and stuff, and then all of a sudden it was like, hey, Brian Thomas Jr. really good, and then the preseason hits, they play that first game. He hit that deep, like it was like a 47-yard catch. And I was like, oh, the way that he wins, the way he won in college is exactly how he's winning now. I think, we might need to adjust our expectations a bit.
Josh, I like that Chev brought up the training camp thing. What was the one thing you saw on Twitter constantly through training camp?
Where's BTJ?
Where everyone was waiting? Where is the BTJ bomb?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like I followed it closely because I was like, hey, this is something that like I get real concerned if I'm not hearing good things out of practice from guys that I like. I'm like, they're not gonna trust you and just give you the ball if you're not doing this stuff in practice. Like that doesn't make sense. It's like I have a family to feed. I'm not gonna. Oh man, it might work if we give it to this guy that never does it in practice. Like they're not in the business of doing that. So, maybe he's just a gamer. But I mean, you started to see kind of those things like trickle in, and then once his confidence got there, it was like, oh well, we got.
I think that's a huge one. Is his confidence. Going into the Jets game, he was asked about going against Sauce and if he was worried, and he was pretty much just like, shit. They need whoever I'm facing, they need to be worried about me. And I was just like, oh yeah, let's go.
Yes. Alpha wide receiver confirmed. Like, I mean, he's a monster, dude. He's 6'3", 210, runs a 4.3, like has a release package. He's not stiff. He's
a freak.
Yeah, it's everything you could ask for. So
there's so much refinement happening too. Like he took this play on the Jets. It kind of goes off the line of scrimmage, finds the zone, just decelerates into it, comes across the field, just catches a ball over the middle. Safety's got a total play on him, and then it's just the speed to the sideline after that. And he just he had no business gaining the 20-25 yards of yak that he got, and he just did it with ease. And it was all set up because of that. Like he comes off the line so ferociously, but then he's able to just decelerate into a zone so seamlessly, and then just open it right back up into burst after this. My God.
He's figuring out he's still figuring out the wide receiver position. I mean, he's only played it for 2 years. And and they teach, they have something going on at LSU where it's not just they get prodigious talents, but they develop them too. So he comes from a place that's known for producing good receivers, and he has all the physical tools. And it seems like, by all accounts, like he's just hey, I'm just gonna come to work. I'm gonna do what I do. But if you ask me, I'm gonna tell you that I'm that guy. But I mean, if you don't ask me, I'll just be that guy in silence.
Yeah, I think one thing I just am so excited about as well is, one, as Jags fans, we've never seen the traits guy work out. Like, it just doesn't work out for us. We've tried it a bazillion times, and the traits guy is working out, and the growth is exponential already. So, like, where can it go?
Right. Well, I mean, it could go like top 5. Like,
So, it's exciting.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, I'll give you this one. Give me how do we beat the Titans this weekend?
We got to stop that. We got to get push on that interior. Run game. I mean, Mac Jones isn't going to bomb it deep too often. I think he's like 0 for 7 with 3 picks since he's taken over on throws over 20 yards, something like that. So you got to be able to push around Jeffrey Simmons and T'Vondre Sweat. Not easy, obviously. Those are 2 of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. And Jeffrey's a notorious Jags killer. So just you have to establish a run against these guys. It was 10-6. It was ugly last time, but a lot of it was geared by Tank Bigsby getting some good runs off there. So that's what I think. That's what it's going to take.
He scored the only touchdown in the game last time.
Yeah. So that's what it's going to take again. You have to be able to move those big dudes in the middle.
So we held you guys to 70 yards rushing, but he did have like that. What was it, like a 20-yard?
Yeah, it was like he had like a 20-yarder in there.
Yeah. So he scored. He scored on that one. Scored the only touchdown of the game. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is when we play against quarterbacks that are slightly mobile. It's just like we abandon all the rules, and then the Commanders ran for like 270 yards. Colts just ran for however many yards. I mean, you're right. It is going to come down to. I think I would love for this game to shoot out, but obviously the quarterbacks are going to keep that probably from happening most likely.
Yeah.
So it will come down to if you can move Big Jeff and T Sweat in the middle, and that's a yeoman's task. You got to bring your hard hat and your lunch pail. You're talking about just like, hey, we're gonna run power at you several times. Like,
yeah, Jags are without their left tackle too this week. So yeah, it's Walker Little.
Okay.
And so that's gonna get dicey. Yeah. How about you, Chev, on Titans side? How are they winning this game?
Don't turn the ball over. Give the ball to Tajay a whole bunch of times, and then figure out a way. Just figure out a way to not turn the ball over. You guys play cover 2 and cover 1 at the highest rates in the NFL. If you can figure out how to beat those, which you saw Aaron Rodgers do it. If you can figure out how to beat those, we got a good chance.
They run a ton, Josh. Correct me if I'm wrong, tons of man, and they don't have the dogs to do it.
Yeah,
and that's the problem.
Yeah, they're top 3 in man coverage. It's 60% of the time they're in man.
Yep.
And like you mentioned, it's cover 1 man, so there's no safety help. You got one safety playing center field, so it can get dicey if you dial up the right stuff. Like Ridley hit that. They tried to hit him on a deep crosser, I think, on the last matchup. That's going to be there all day if they play that cover 1 man, and Ridley's perfect to beat it as long as they move him around and he doesn't get pressed.
Yeah, Ridley, Chig, it should work. Your linebackers running one-on-one with Chig, it should work. However, I have a quarterback problem. It's a slightly better quarterback problem now that Will Levis isn't there, but it's a problem. It's we went from the Mayo Madman to Mason Rudolph, which is
the helmet madman.
Yeah.
Will Levis was for the memes. It was awesome.
Yeah. That was one of the fun parts is every week you knew you were going to get just another absolute banger of a meme. When he threw the pick 6 against Houston, it just went full head down sprint to the end zone. I was crying laughing at my television. And then he outplayed CJ Stroud, so it made me real sad. And I was like, why did you have to start being good? This was so much better when you just sucked.
Yeah.
I can see Tajay having a day on us too, though. He seems like he's been really getting the work. I believe he outsnapped or out-touched Pollard last week.
Yeah, last 2 weeks, he's played 56% of the snaps. Pollard has not eclipsed 45% in either one of the games. I think the ankle injury and the game scripts have absolutely just not gone in their favor. And the fact that we've got we got Tony on a deal for 2 more years. There's no reason if he's not healthy and you have Tajay Spears to throw him out there in the 2-minute drill and catch-up modes. Yeah, put Tajay out there. Why would you not do that? And he's obviously dynamic. It just Tony Pollard profiles as more of a bell cow. Hey, if we're in the game, we can hand it to this dude 25 times and, results will be good. But if you're playing catch up, Tajay's more than capable. He split the snaps evenly with Derrick Henry. If that tells you anything last year, he's a capable back, and he's a wonder, just absolute unit of a pass catcher. So yeah, I would love to see him get another 20 touches, or however many touches. I don't think he had 20. And you can see that he's extremely efficient. So I'm excited to see that. I love Tajay. I went and acquired him everywhere in Dynasty before the season started, and obviously that hasn't worked. But maybe in 2025, it's more of a split.
Yeah, it's follow the money situation, but at the same time, you can't deny Tajay lately, man.
No, I mean he's a stud. Like there's, it's like, hey, can we so question to you guys, like, would you rather see what you have in Travis Etienne or just turn the workload over to Tank Bigsby for the rest of the year and then like try to get whatever you can as trade capital for Travis Etienne for a team that's clearly rebuilding?
Right. You mentioned Chig. I think Chig's having a day. Jags get wrecked by tight ends. We've seen way too many times the quarterback stares at a Jaguars linebacker's nameplate and throws it right over his head down the seam. So expect one of those.
Usually number 33.
Yeah, that's right. First round linebacker right there.
Oh my gosh. So how do y'all feel like, because from an IDP standpoint, like Foye Oluokun is incredible.
Yes.
And then Ventrell Miller has been like, he was solid in like as a run defender. And then when Foye went out and he was playing full snaps, like he had a bunch of good games from a statistical perspective, but obviously him and Devin Lloyd aren't, great cover 2 seam carrying linebackers. So like, how do y'all feel about them?
Josh, you take this one.
Devin Lloyd, I think, is probably the worst coverage linebacker in the NFL. He doesn't do anything particularly good except for when he moves forward. And then Foye, this will probably get me in trouble with Jags fans. I think he may be a little overrated. Like, he's a tackling machine, but I think if he had a decent interior line, he wouldn't have as many tackles as he did. Because, even his high tackle games, half of those are after the first line of defense, and he's there.
In this,
like, he's not like meeting dudes in the backfield, and his coverage skills are like mid at best too, in my opinion. He's a solid tackler. I'll give him that. Like, he doesn't miss tackles when he gets you. He's not a game changer linebacker.
He's a good pre-snap linebacker too, I think. I think he does an overall solid job of like getting dudes where they need to be. And the one thing I like about Lloyd, you said, is the one like positives you mentioned. They literally drafted a guy in Ventrell Miller the following year in the 4th round who's better than Lloyd at the things Lloyd is good at.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
like every time you see Ventrell on the field, like he pops like at least once.
Oh, dude. I'm a Florida fan, like been a Florida fan since the mid 90s. And I watched him in college just take over games. It was like, hey, we're gonna run read option. He's like, no, the fuck you're not. And he would be everywhere. And then when you guys got him, I was like, that's interesting. Especially considering you drafted Devin Lloyd where you did in what's the other guy's name? Muma?
Yeah.
Same draft, 2 rounds later.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't know how this is. I don't get it. But I'm not in the trenches with the Jags like that. So
the off-ball linebacker jokes about Trent Baalke are real for a reason.
Yeah, it's bad, man.
Like, we could get an interior offensive lineman here, but hey, my 9th ranked inside linebacker prospect is on the board. What am I gonna do?
Ventrell was a classic case of he loves off-ball linebackers, and he also loves dudes coming off injury that he feels like he's getting value on. So Ventrell was a home run for Trent.
That's hilarious. That's rough. That's rough.
He'll be starting next year, I think.
No, Ventrell will for sure.
Yeah.
I survived a GM that just didn't sign any of his 1st or 2nd round draft picks for like 5 years. Like none of them got sleeper contracts. That was
us until Trevor.
Really?
Yeah, I think Trevor was the first re-sign in a while.
Well, Hines Allen would have been before, right?
Well, Trev signed before Josh.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, technically.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
they
you're
signed
right.
the same offseason, but yeah.
Golly, what a stud! What a
Ugh.
stud! I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Josh Hines Allen.
Oh, I love Josh. He's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So all right, so I don't get to talk very often about this, but I was shocked when you guys drafted Trayvon Walker over Aiden Hutchinson. Like, what's the sentiment amongst Jags fans about like that pick and how it's worked out so far?
I can take my perspective. I think we understand that Aiden is a like game-changing pass rusher. Like he's a top 5 pass rusher in the NFL. And I think we all realize that he's definitely better than Trayvon at that particular thing. But I think we've also come, or at least I have, like Trayvon's still really good.
Yes.
Like he's a top 10 run defending edge in the NFL, and he's still getting double-digit sacks. Like in a normal draft class, that's a good first round number 1 overall pick. It just so happens he got drafted before Aiden Hutchinson, who's like a fucking stud. So it sucks that it happened like that. You can't really appreciate it.
From the outside looking in, it kind of seems like the draft where obviously Jadeveon Clowney went 1, and then Khalil Mack went like
yes. It's that.
Okay.
Like Khalil Mack, clearly better. Jadeveon Clowney has a 12-year NFL career. Still good.
Right. Well, I mean, like at his peak, Jadeveon Clowney was an absolute he's never been a great, like very technical pass rusher because he doesn't have pass rush moves. He's just incredibly athletic. But like in terms of run defending, like hustle plays, like he's always had these like flash plays that if you watch football, like you understand how rare it is for somebody to be able to do that type of thing.
Yes.
He's never going to be a 15 sack guy.
Yep. It's kind of the same thing. I don't know if you remember in 22 in that final game that sent us to the playoffs, that would have sent you guys. I stand on the belief if we have Aiden Hutchinson, we don't win that game. Because there's a couple times where Derrick Henry's going outside and Trayvon just stops the edge and forces them to cut back. And that's just something he does. Like, we don't win the division that year without Trayvon Walker. But he's still not Aiden Hutchinson, and Aiden's going to be a 20-sack guy where Trayvon's going to be a 12 to 13-sack guy, and that's where you're going to miss.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I can't be upset about – you can't be that upset about, 13 sacks. I mean –
No, absolutely. I appreciate Trayvon. He's awesome.
Well, yeah,
he does stuff on the field most guys can't do.
Well, I asked – yeah, that's why I asked. I was like, he's a really good player, and he obviously made a leap between, like, rookie year – second year, and it's showing up on tape. So
absolutely,
I've wanted to talk with like Jags fans, like people who actually like watch the games, and be like, how do you feel about this? Because I don't think it doesn't get talked about enough. Like he's a really good player. It's not like Ryan Leaf and Peyton Manning, like where you're just eternal sadness, or like Justin Herbert and Tua. Like it just you're like, man, it's
right.
So it's always going to come down to sack numbers.
And the one that you watch Trayvon, and the takeaway is just like, this guy's just a damn good football player. Like, that's just it. But yeah, it's Josh nailed it. It's going to come down to Hutch. And the thing I've said is like, Hutch could be an all-pro Hall of Fame pass rusher. Trayvon is very good. Both can be true. Like, just because they took the wrong guy or whatever doesn't instantly mean Trayvon sucks. I
think it also comes down to like our GM's Trent Baalke, and he's a known like short arm hitter. So it's coming down to like Trayvon's the alien versus the T-Rex and Hutch. So it makes it even funnier. Like all of his arms were an inch longer, he would have gone number 1. Like you're only saying that because the GM's Trent Baalke.
Yeah, and then the Hutch saying the 1 inch. Trent said his arms are 1 inch too short, or that's why he didn't draft him. That's what Hutch said about Trent. That Trent told him his arms are 1 inch too short.
Are you serious?
Yeah, 100%. And so that gets talked about a lot. It's just like
So Trent has like an arm length threshold that like he's like very like set on, and Hutch was 1 inch short.
That's wild,
isn't it?
That is wild.
It is.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing as like the guys on Twitter that are like, well, my model says that Brian Thomas Jr. will only have one more top 24 season. It's like, dude, get the fuck out of here, man. He's top 6 wide receiver right now. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that yards per route run number from LSU was getting thrown out there. Like, oh, this indicates a bust. You shouldn't touch him. Come on, man.
So, I don't know how you guys feel about fantasy receipts, the account, but like when Brian Thomas Jr. was what was it last week? The week before the 2 touchdown week? They just started retweeting a bunch of Derek Brown's tweets about how he hated Brian Thomas Jr.
Oh no.
Yeah. And then like all in the comments, like they started picking comments out like, oh yeah, I agree. I don't see how any way that he could possibly be a useful wide receiver at the next level. And so it's like, man, guys, like there's no reason to throw out definitives right now when there's zero evidence that you can point to other than like, well, my model that predicts the future says that maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't work. And it's like, well, it's fucking clearly working, man. Like what are we doing here? So yeah, I don't know. I get real irritated when it's like, hey, turn the film on. What do you see? A really good football player. But what about his hand width?
You're describing Bucky Irving's summer.
Yeah. And like, look, I liked Bucky Irving too. The only reason that I didn't invest heavily in Bucky Irving is because I was like, I'm a Rachaad White guy. It's me.
Hey, that's a better reason than he ran slow in underwear.
Oh gosh.
That's a much better reason in my book.
Like all of my, like, if you watched him at Orioles, like there's no way. There's no, like, he ran a 4.5. Okay. It's probably because he's small and he doesn't like, he doesn't have the same like top end speed that someone that's 6'3", 210 and has like 15-foot strides can generate. It's like he's 5'8", man. Like, what do you want him to do? But in a phone booth, he can make you miss. So, But who cares about that? Because if you ask him to run straight for a really long time, he won't outrun a guy that's 6'3".
Wild. All right, let's get to game predictions. Chev, what you got?
Jags by 1 million.
Ooh, snap. All right, Josh.
Yeah, Jags by 1 million.
I'm riding with Rudolph. Christmas theme here. I think the Titans are going to win. They're going to put up some points.
Only in garbage time, bud.
Well, the Jags have to do something to put them in garbage time.
It's a Jags home game, and there's a rumor the clowns are coming out. So
that's true.
Yeah, exactly. Jags by 1 million. Book it.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I think the Jags pull this one out as well. I think it's close. But the Jags have the blue chip player on the field, and I think he's the difference again.
I picked you guys last week against the Raiders, and like it made me real sad. I would pick them with some buddies, and it's just for bragging rights. But when I lose, I get really, really pissed. And so that was one of the, like, obviously you follow the spreads, and you're like, yeah. And then I was like, that was like, you pick a couple upsets, and I was like, man, the Raiders really suck. They really suck. I see the Jags win this game because Brian Thomas Jr. does Brian Thomas Jr. things. And then you guys didn't target him at all in the first half. Let me ask you that. What's up with that?
Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
He's a terrible coach.
That's the answer to many, many questions.
When you're right, you're right. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Yeah.
It's weird. I don't get it either. It's weird.
Like, against us, I was looking at the stats, and it was like Brian Thomas Jr. 0 for 1. And I was like, 1 fucking target? Are you kidding me? 1 target? Like, what are we doing? And this is against the Titans. I'm like, why? Why does he only have 1 target? Like, I get that we have Jarvis Brownlee, and he's a very physically imposing, and He's 5'10", 185 pounds. He's not imposing at all. Like, why are you not throwing Brian Thomas the ball? At this point, I'm way more concerned about my fantasy team than I am my real life team winning games. So, and then like he ends with like 8 for 116, and I'm like, that's better. But that should have been a 200-yard game.
Yep. There's been a couple like that.
There was one where it was like if he had like 230 air yards, but only like 110 of them were catchable, and he finished with like 110 yards.
That's probably the Texans game.
Yep. Exactly
nobody could hit him in stride, and he was open. We're gonna have some Stingley discourse in the offseason because that dude's a merchant. I don't like Derek Stingley. That dude got roasted 4 times, and the quarterbacks suck, and they just oh.
But I mean, he's been pretty lights out against everybody that's not a physical freak.
No, yeah, he's really good. I just hate he's a merchant against the South.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. He doesn't have to play really good receivers outside of. I mean, the two of the best receivers are on his team in Tank Dell, Nico Collins. He's got to play against Brian Thomas Jr. Michael Pittman sucks. Josh Downs is a slot receiver. What else is there?
Yeah.
And he's been playing mostly bad quarterbacks. Like,
yeah,
I mean, he's gotten one game, well, half a game of Mac. He got all the Titans last couple of years. AR has been a mess as a passer. Like, it's not like he's been in the, I don't know, or something. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
He did last against the Dolphins. He did lock Tyreek up. I will say that.
I'm blamed.
Also, Tua sucks. So
I'm so glad I'm on that train too. I've been fighting with my friends for 2-3 seasons on that one. That is just a system quarterback right there.
Yeah, I mean 100%. Like it is tailored to the things that he does well, which is like throw the ball really short, very accurately.
Wow, I wish we had coaches that did that with our players.
Like, hey, we should get the ball to the really fast guys, like very close to the line of scrimmage, very quickly.
I thought Brian Callahan would be good.
Okay, now let me lay it out for you. Okay. Everything works except Will Levis. Like the offense works. Like when Will Levis doesn't like completely melt down and just have just a short bus moment. Like it works and it looks good.
He does some really cool stuff with his pick plays he draws up. There's a couple in the last game. I was like, holy shit, that was nice.
Yeah.
They just didn't obviously go for anything. Like that Calvin Ridley when he ran out of bounds.
Yes.
That was a glorious pick play. Yes. It was like, oh man.
Like, it was like, hey, just Calvin, just dive toward the first down and we're in good shape, dude. Like just do anything but what you actually did. You could have done anything. You could have like fallen down and then barrel rolled for the yardage that we needed. And then it was like, he was like, oh no, I'm too fast. I just got to go out of bounds. It was like,
all right, bet.
Cool. We paid $100 million for a guy that has no idea where the fucking first down is.
I was telling Schultzy before we started recording about my favorite screenshots on Twitter. It was like, guess where Calvin Ridley ran on this play? And it's like a wide open field, and then there's a safety on the other side. He runs right at the safety. It's just like, oh,
wild, man. It is wild. I just that one to me, like I was watching that one like live, and I'm at a point now where like I have to laugh in order to keep from getting really angry about how dumb some of the stuff that I have to watch is. But that one I was like, red zone, I'm done. It's like I put it on red zone. It's like I'm not doing this to myself anymore. It's like
Jags are now a screen number 2. Red zone is number 1. It's been about a month.
Yeah. I mean, like I'll have it to where so I can have like four different games in like the little panes or whatever, and I'll have the audio on the Titans game, but then red zone's at the top, and I was like, no, I can't keep doing this. Like full screen red zone. It's like we're done. Well,
yeah, it's sad stuff. Well, yeah, I think that's about gonna do it for us. Unless you got anything else to say here.
Well, what do you guys? Okay, ideal world. What do you want to do with your first round pick this year?
I know where Josh is going. I got two guys. I want Travis or Tet. It's one of those two for me.
I'm Team T-Mac all day.
Really?
Give me the big physical freak. Because Brian Thomas, as good as he is, his catch point, like physicality, just isn't there. Where Tet, boy, you throw it to him, he's catching it. I love me some T-Mac.
I don't know if it's like paralysis by like I've seen too much Tet that where I'm like starting to pick apart, like the things that he doesn't do great, and I'm like should I just shut up and not overthink it? But I think Travis is like really, really, really hoping that we win this game, and then somehow, that we get like the third pick and we take Travis because that's what I want.
Yeah, I want Travis first. I think he's gonna be a lockdown corner.
Yeah, he's gonna be a stud. I have nothing against Travis at all.
Yeah,
I just really love that.
Set him and forget him on corner, and then you just get the luxury of sprinkling him on offense if you want. And I wouldn't do more than sprinkle. I don't think you want to give him the snap usage like he's taken on at Colorado.
There's no way that you can
right. There's
no way. But also, we thought that there would never be like an actual person like Shohei Ohtani. So,
fair.
Like I at this point I don't know what his ceiling is because there's never been a player in the modern era to do what he's doing. And it's like, oh, he's gonna get hurt. And he didn't get hurt. And he put up 1,500 yards as a receiver and had 4 or 5 interceptions at corner. So yeah, I want Travis if I can't get Cam Ward. I don't know. I feel like Shador and Cam Ward are going to go 1 and 2, and then kind of leave us there like, what do I do now? So
yeah, I'm not sold on Shador.
We're going to talk about this on a Dynasty Pulse, dude.
Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah. All right. Well, that'll do it here. If you made it this far, you really love either one of these teams, so you're definitely going to be watching that game. So
thanks, Mom.
Have a blast with that one. We're glad you tuned in with us. Goodbye, friends.